You ever heard of this game called Grand Theft Auto 5? I mean, I'm sure you have because it is a bit old, but now a release date for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X versions has been revealed. Evercade is expanding its lineup of games and is bringing some arcade titles to its lineup of systems. And finally, is there a major problem brewing on the Nintendo Switch eShop? Some people think that there is, so we're going to talk about it. What's going on, guys? I'm RGT85. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and be sure to like and share the video. But without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. So the Grand Theft Auto franchise is, of course, one of the biggest franchises ever. It's been a huge success for Rockstar Games, and of course, a lot of this accumulated with Grand Theft Auto 3. A lot of people remember the first time they played Grand Theft Auto 3 because it was one of those impactful games. I remember the first time I played it. I was visiting a buddy of mine down in Georgia. I was like 15 years old. We went over to his friend's house and he had Grand Theft Auto 3 for his PlayStation 2, and we literally played this game all night long. It was just an absolutely insane experience, unlike anything that we had seen before. Of course, we've gotten more Grand Theft Auto games over the years, but Rockstar used to be a company that released a lot of games for the same platform, but over the past decade or so, things have definitely slowed down, and Grand Theft Auto 5 is such a cash cow for Rockstar that we haven't seen a Grand Theft Auto 6, even though this game originally came out in the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. Well, Grand Theft Auto 5 is, of course, coming to next generation platforms, and now we have a concrete release date for the game. The game will be releasing on November 11th. Now, there is no footage of the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X version of the game, but according to GameSpot's preview for the game, that Rockstar said it will feature a range of technical improvements, visual upgrades, and performance enhancements to take full advantage of the latest hardware, making the game more beautiful and more responsive than ever. Now, to me, this is a very interesting situation. Like I said, Grand Theft Auto 5 is an absolute cash cow, especially Grand Theft Auto Online. Like, people spend tons of money in that stuff, and it's obviously making Rockstar hand over fist with money. So I understand why they would want to re-release this game once again for the next generation of consoles, but I just feel like there's so many awesome Rockstar IPs and franchises, games like Manhunt, Bully, LA Noire, that they could expand upon, but they don't. They just kind of keep re-releasing all the same stuff, and honestly, it's a little bit disappointing. I played Grand Theft Auto 5 to death on the Xbox 360 on my buddy's Xbox 360. We used to play that game for hours and hours and hours, so I know the gist. I know how it works. I know what the game brings to the table. We, like I said, played it for tons of time, so I would just like to see Rockstar take that jump to the next generation. But the problem is, much like a situation like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, does Rockstar really have a reason to? Is there a reason to release a Mario Kart 9? Like, not really, when Mario Kart 8 still sells so well on the Nintendo Switch, and Rockstar is definitely finding themselves in this position. Will I check out Grand Theft Auto 5 on the PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X? Honestly, I might, because like I said, I have not played this game since the Xbox 360 version of the game, so it has been quite a while to me. But will you be checking it out? Is this worth a triple dip for you when it comes out on November 11th? Let me know in the comment section down below. Next up, you might remember a company called Evercade that we've talked about on this channel before. They released a handheld system that was cartridge-based that has compilations from various companies from the yesteryear and retro years of gaming, along with new homebrew games that have come along as well. They recently announced a brand new home consoleized version of their system, and honestly, I like what they're doing. I understand why some people aren't really on board with it. Like, that's cool, I completely understand. But for me, just having cheap game compilations come out for like 20 bucks a pop that are on physical media is a really cool thing. I think their hardware is really priced well as well, under $100, which can allow for a lot of impulse buys, whether you're talking about the portable version of the system or the upcoming home console version of the system. I think that's something that a lot of retro companies get wrong. When you look at something like the Atari VCS, like, why didn't that work out? Because they tried to sell it for like the price of a modern console, and it didn't have a library of games that were really that interesting. I understand premium prices for high-end retro stuff because there is a market for it, but you're not going to tap into it with something like the Atari VCS or maybe even the upcoming Intellivision Amico. A lot of things have changed with that system. The price of that system has gotten very high comparative to what it was originally supposed to be, and I feel like you sort of negate those impulse buys that a lot of people would want to get with these systems, whereas something like the Evercade comes in at under $100. Well, Evercade has now announced that they're bringing some arcade games home to their lineup of systems, and I think this is really cool and something that they could potentially expand upon in the future. They've announced 4 different compilations, and I'm gonna go in like the series of like least interested to most interested. They announced an Atari arcade collection, and I don't care. Atari was before my time. I don't care about any of these games. If you do, you know, that's awesome. Just for me, I don't care. A Data East compilation that has Burger Time on there, the arcade version of Burger Time, which is the one that a lot of people want. Once again, there's a lot of misses for me on this compilation, but still, you know, it's kind of cool for Data East fans. The Technos arcade collection, although it is missing the original Double Dragon, it has Double Dragon 2 and Double Dragon 3, which are vastly different experiences that came out on the home console. The arcade versions were definitely very different, and some other cool stuff like Mat Mania in there as well. And then the Gallico collection, I don't know, I thought it was meant to be Jellico at first, but then these games aren't Jellico games. I don't know anything about these games, but I think like the rally game looks really cool, the snowboarding game looks really cool, and the nice thing about these compilations is you're getting a variety of games on these cartridges, and they're like 20 bucks. So even if you're only really interested in like 2 or 3 of the games, like you're still getting a great value, and you might end up finding like a hidden gem that you never knew about with this thing. So I really like what Evercade is doing. They're priced appropriately, they're doing smart decisions, and I really hope that they're able to expand their arcade lineup of games and get other companies involved. Companies like Capcom, maybe even Sega to some extent, because I think that there's a lot of room for growth with this system. Now, of course, we do have to keep an eye on the emulation of this. Hopefully, they're able to get that arcade emulation down. Like, let's be realistic, arcade emulation can be very tricky, but as long as they're able to get that emulation down, I think this is a big win, and I'm definitely very excited to see what Evercade has in the future for their lineup of systems. And finally, is there a big problem brewing on the Nintendo Switch eShop? I've seen a lot of people making videos about this, talking about this, a lot of tweets about it, and I just want to share my 2 cents on this topic. Now, just looking at the Nintendo Switch eShop, like, yes, it has a million problems with it. It's ugly, it's hard to navigate sometimes. You know, people take advantage of things like sales and whatnot in the thing. There's a huge dumping of games that just comes out randomly for the Nintendo Switch. It definitely has its problems. But one thing that you have to applaud Nintendo for, or maybe get mad at Nintendo for, depending on how you look at the situation, is just how much easier it is to put your games on the Nintendo Switch than previous years. On the Wii, it was like an act of Congress in order to get your game on the Wii eShop. Like, you had to jump through so many hoops. The Wii U, then of course things changed. They didn't care. They just wanted people to put their games on the platform, and the Nintendo Switch has gotten even easier. Well, recently there's been a company called Sabec, I believe I'm saying that right, that is drawing the ire of a lot of Nintendo Switch owners because they feel like they're doing what a lot of other companies are doing, just at a higher price point. And that is a whole reskinned thing, basically taking texture assets from things like Unity and then just using these standard texture assets, not doing anything to improve them, making a half-ass game and then putting it out on the market. But I feel like Sabec is actually taking it to a whole nother level with this. Now, Sabec recently released the Nintendo Switch calculator for $10, and it's literally a calculator. Like, there's no other way to say it. Like, it's a calculator, and people were like, why the hell is this on the Nintendo Switch? This makes no sense. You have a calculator on your phone. Even if it is on the system, why is it priced at $10? And I completely agree with you. This should not be a $10 game on the Nintendo Switch. Well, Sabec is now bringing more games to the Nintendo Switch, according to Nintendo Life, with 2 new games called Xylophone and Piano. And I'm gonna let you guys guess as to what these games bring to the table. Is it turn your Nintendo Switch into a xylophone? Yes. Does it turn your Nintendo Switch into a small piano? Yes. And it's just kind of like, okay, what are you people doing? Now, it has been discovered that these are actually asset flips, once again, of other things that are available on places like Steam and mobile markets, and then just put onto the Nintendo Switch. And the asset flip industry, like I said, is actually pretty large on the Nintendo Switch. There's actually like a channel that I've stumbled across. I can't think of the name of it right now, but they actually cover a lot of Nintendo Switch games and look to see if they are indeed asset flips or not. If I figure out the name of the channel, I will put it up on the screen now and have a link to them in the description box down below, because it's fun to see like what are these games, if they are asset flips or not. But a lot of people are feeling like stuff like this is causing a major problem in the Nintendo Switch eShop. And to some extent, I can agree, but to another extent, it's kind of like nobody's forcing you to buy these games. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think anyone's going on in the Nintendo Switch eShop and being tricked into buying a calculator or a xylophone or a piano for $10. Like, $10 can get you very, very far on the Nintendo Switch eShop, especially when there's good sales going on that I love to cover on this. There's lots of games that come out that are $10 or less right out of the gate that'll give you much more value than something like a calculator or a xylophone would. It's a market that, yes, it is becoming a bit oversaturated, but at the end of the day, you are still in control of your own destiny. Nobody is forcing you to buy this $10 calculator. If you choose to buy the $10 calculator, I mean, whatever, like, okay, enjoy your $10 calculator. I like the open market of the Nintendo Switch. Do I think it does get a bit overcomplicated and a bit over hectic when all of these games are coming out and a lot of them are kind of half-ass asset flips? Totally, I completely understand that. But as far as a company actually releasing a game and putting it out there, they're not forcing you to buy it. So just kind of overlook it. Like, yeah, it's fun to talk about these stupid things like calculator and xylophone and piano, you know, the hit games of the Nintendo Switch. But at the end of the day, as the consumer, you control your own destiny. You control your own wallet. So don't worry about if other people are buying it. Don't wallet watch people. If you want to make fun of it, make fun of it, because at the end of the day, that's what video games is really all about, just having fun. So Sabek, you're kind of scummy. Like, I don't like what you're doing, and honestly, I hope you don't make a lot of money, but if you manage to do such, you know, like, kudos to you. But RGT does not recommend picking up xylophone or calculator or piano on the Nintendo Switch, so just kind of steer clear of that, and your eShop experience will be a bit more enjoyable. Alright, so that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to let me know what you think of everything in the comments section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Check out other videos on the channel as well. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next one. Later.